I can still smell it, the sickly sweet rot of overripe fruit mixed with champagne gone flat. I'm sitting on a folding chair near the service entrance of the Grand Meridian Ballroom, watching my family celebrate Marcus's engagement through the crack in the kitchen door. The smell hits me every time a waiter pushes through with another tray of canapés, and I've positioned myself exactly where I always end up, close enough to technically be present, far enough away that no one has to acknowledge my existence. My father's laughter booms across the marble floor. I know that sound, the one he reserves for when Marcus tells a story about closing another deal, charming another client, being exactly the son Dad always wanted to parade around. I shift in my chair, and the metal legs scrape against the floor with a sound like a small animal dying. No one turns. No one ever turns. There's a used napkin on the floor near my feet, lipstick stained, probably from Aunt Teresa. I pick it up without thinking. 32 years of training have made me the family's invisible janitor, cleaning up messes that aren't mine, apologizing for space I'm occupying. Marcus catches my eye through the doorway and smirks. He raises his champagne glass in a mock toast, and I understand the message perfectly. You don't belong here, but we'll tolerate you because blood is blood, and appearances matter. Mom glides past in her silver Dior gown, the one she bought specifically for this occasion. She'd spent 6 hours shopping for it, bringing Marcus along for his opinion. When I asked if she wanted me to come, she'd smiled that distant smile and said, "Oh honey, you wouldn't enjoy that sort of thing." As if I'd expressed disinterest rather than hunger. As if my preferences had ever been considered at all. The engagement ring on Veronica's finger catches the chandelier light, 5 carats, flawless. Marcus had taken Dad with him to pick it out, made a whole day of it, cigars and scotch and men talk about legacy and continuing the family name. I'd learned about the engagement from Instagram, like everyone else who didn't matter. I watch Mom lean in to kiss Marcus's cheek, her hand on his shoulder like she's steadying herself against something precious. The same hand that had patted my head absently this morning when I'd wished her good day, already turning away before I'd finished speaking. Present but absent. There but not there. The story of my entire life summarized in a gesture. I was 7 when I understood. It was Marcus's 12th birthday party, the big one, the one where Dad rented out the entire pool club and invited everyone who mattered in Charleston. I remember standing on the limestone patio in my new shorts, hand-me-downs from Marcus, of course, though Mom had tried to pass them off as specially picked out, watching Marcus dive from the high board while everyone applauded. Even then, he moved like someone who knew the world would catch him. I'd spent 3 weeks making him a birthday present, a model ship, the USS Constitution, working on it every night after homework with a concentration that made my eyes ache. I'd painted every detail, researched the historical accuracy, even written a little card explaining the ship's significance. I was so proud of it that my hands shook when I handed him the wrapped box. Marcus had torn through the paper, glanced at the ship for maybe 3 seconds, and said, "Cool," before setting it down on the gift table and diving back into the pool. That was it. No examination of the rigging, no appreciation of the hours of work. Just cool and dismissal. But it was Mom's reaction that carved itself into my memory like initials on a tree. She'd picked up the model, looked at it with something almost like pity, and said to Mrs. Henderson, her voice carrying across the patio, "Julian's always been the creative one. Not ambitious like Marcus, but sweet. He tries so hard. He tries so hard." As if effort was something to be pitied. As if ambition was genetic and I'd been born without the right chromosomes. As if my worth could be summarized as a consolation prize for not being my brother. Dad had overheard and added, different kids, different strengths. Marcus has got the head for business, the personality. Julian's more internal. Thoughtful. He'd said thoughtful the way someone might say lactose intolerant, a limitation to be managed, not a quality to celebrate. That night, after the party, I'd found my model ship in the trash, crushed beneath empty boxes and crumpled wrapping paper. Marcus claimed it was an accident, that it had gotten mixed up with the garbage. Mom had sighed and told me not to make a scene, that these things happen, that I shouldn't be so sensitive about material objects. I learned then that my efforts would always be recycled into disappointment. That love in my family was not distributed equally but allocated based on some invisible metric I would never score well on. That I could build something beautiful with my bare hands, and it would still end up in the trash. Julian. There you are. Veronica's voice cuts through my memories like a knife through butter. She's standing in the doorway, backlit by chandelier light, looking like something out of a wedding magazine. Beautiful, sophisticated, perfect for Marcus. Perfect for the life he's building, the empire he's inheriting. I stand, because that's what you do when someone addresses you directly, even if they're doing it for show. We're about to cut the cake, she says, her smile brilliant and empty. Marcus wanted to make sure you were included. The pause before included tells me everything. This is a performance, a gesture of magnanimity from the golden couple to the lesser sibling. Look how kind we are, how generous, how we remember even the forgotten ones. I follow her back into the ballroom, and it's like walking into a postcard of someone else's life. 400 people I mostly don't know, celebrating a love I wasn't consulted about, in a venue I wasn't invited to help choose. Marcus is at the center of it all, naturally, his arm around Veronica, his face glowing with the confidence of someone who has never doubted his place in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, Dad's voice booms as he taps his champagne glass. If I could have your attention for just a moment. Dad straightens his tie, the same navy silk he's worn to every major milestone in Marcus's life. When Marcus was born, he begins, I knew right away that this boy was destined for great things. I feel the familiar tightening in my chest, the prelude to erasure. He showed leadership even as a child, Dad continues. Always taking charge, always knowing what he wanted. Not afraid to go after it. Polite laughter ripples through the crowd. Dad gestures toward Veronica. And when he met Veronica, well, he found someone worthy of standing beside him. Veronica blushes on cue. Marcus squeezes her hand. Together, they'll continue the legacy our family has worked so hard to build. The word legacy echoes like a judgment. I glance around looking for any acknowledgement of the fact that there is, somewhat inconveniently, another son. None comes. Dad raises his glass. To Marcus and Veronica. 400 glasses rise. Applause erupts. I bring my own glass to my lips even though it's empty. The gesture feels symbolic, going through the motions, participating in celebrations that offer me nothing. After the toast, Marcus weaves his way over to me with practiced ease. Thought you might want to hear that, he says, clapping my shoulder a little too hard. Dad gets sentimental. I nod. There's nothing else to do. You doing okay in here? Marcus asks, scanning the room behind me. I know what he means, you're not embarrassing us, are you? I'm fine, I say. Good. He smiles, already backing away. Enjoy the party. He doesn't wait for an answer. The band starts up again, music swelling, couples moving onto the dance floor. I stand there, caught between the edge of the room and the center of my family's story, belonging fully to neither. I escape back to my folding chair near the service entrance, the music muffled by kitchen walls. The party continues without me, just as my life has continued in parallel to my family's, adjacent but never intersecting. I watch servers move with purpose, each of them necessary, each of them holding a defined role. I wonder what it feels like to know exactly why you're in a room. My phone buzzes in my pocket. A text from Aunt Teresa, proud of you tonight. You're handling everything so well. I stare at the words, unsure whether they meant as comfort or correction. Well-handled loneliness is still loneliness. I text back a polite thank you. Decades of conditioning have made gratitude my reflex. The cake-cutting laughter erupts again from the ballroom. I imagine slices being distributed evenly, except that I know how this works. Someone always gets less, and they're expected to be grateful for the crumbs. I think about the years between the pool party and this engagement, the quiet accumulation of moments like sediment. Each disappointment layering over the last, forming the foundation of who I became. I learned to be small, to take up less space, to exit rooms without being noticed. I learned that being needed was safer than being wanted. So I became useful, dependable, invisible. The irony is not lost on me. The skills that made family gatherings survivable made real intimacy impossible. You can't be known if you're always managing yourself. A waiter crosses in front of me, tray aloft, eyes focused straight ahead. No eye contact, I think. That makes it easier. I wonder when I started measuring my worth by how little trouble I caused. Probably around the same time I learned to apologize for things I hadn't done. The music shifts to something slow. Couples draw closer together, synchronized intimacy on the dance floor. I feel a familiar ache, not jealousy, exactly, but distance. Like watching warmth through thick glass. I tell myself I am used to it, and that's the lie that hurts the most. 12200:35:10:000. I close my eyes and let the music wash over me, pretending for a moment that it belongs to a different life. A life where I mattered without having to earn it. Where love wasn't conditional, measured against milestones I would never reach. When I open my eyes, Mom is standing a few feet away. She looks uncertain, like someone approaching a stranger. Are you having a good time? She asks. The question lands heavy between us. It's the kind of question that expects gratitude, not honesty. I am fine, I say again, defaulting to the safest answer. She nods, relieved. That's good, she says. This means so much to your brother. As if that explains everything. She hesitates, then reaches out and straightens my jacket collar. The gesture is intimate and empty all at once. You've always been so understanding, she adds. Understanding. The word tastes bitter. She smiles once more and returns to the ballroom, slipping seamlessly back into her role. I stay where I am, the space she left behind oddly colder. For the first time, I wonder what would happen if I stopped being understanding. If I told the truth instead of smoothing it over. The thought feels dangerous. Liberating. I imagine a life where I don't apologize for existing. Where silence doesn't equal peace, and distance isn't mistaken for maturity. The music swells again, pulling everyone closer to the center. I stay at the edge, but something inside me has shifted. Not healed. Not resolved. Just awake. Marcus finds me again near the service entrance just as the party begins to thin. Guests drift toward the exits, coats over their arms, vows of future dinners already fading. You heading out? He asks, casual, like the answer doesn't matter. In a bit, I say. He nods. Long night. For the first time, there's no dig, no smirk. Just exhaustion, mine mirrored faintly in his. We stand there in silence, brothers by fact if not by feeling. You know, he says finally, Dad means well. I almost laugh, but stop myself. I know, I say, because it's the answer everyone expects. Marcus checks his watch. We've got an early day tomorrow. Of course you do. He hesitates, then surprises me. Thanks for coming, he says quietly. Not thank you for supporting us. Not thank you for being happy. Just thank you for coming. He turns and walks away before I can decide what to feel. I gather my coat and step outside into the cool night air. The city hums around me, indifferent and free. For the first time that evening, I take a full breath. I don't know what tomorrow looks like. I only know I want to spend it shrinking. I walk away from the ballroom without looking back. Somewhere behind me, my family's story continues. Ahead of me, for the first time, mine does too. And that feels like the beginning, not the end.